Part 26. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 251. I looked at Master Ghost and asked, since you said that you can only use temple magic if you have the inheritance from the city god, then which city god are you the heir to? What the Ghost Master just performed must be a temple technique, otherwise it would not echo the city god's inheritance in my body. Master Gui glanced at me indifferently, turned his head very proudly, and did not answer my question. I shook my head helplessly. Sure enough, he and I didn't get along very well. The matter was resolved and the wedding procession moved on. The Ghost Master followed the sedan chair on his dark horse. His appearance made the four villagers carrying the sedan a little frightened. Lin Duyan has been silent since he just witnessed the battle between me and Mr. Ghost. Soon, we came to the cave where the cave god was. Just when my sight touched the entrance of the cave, the stars in the sky receded and the bright moonlight turned a little gray. I looked at the boulder by the stream, but I didn't see the beautiful figure from last night. Lin Duyan was silent all the way, and finally said, "You bring the cave girl into it, and if you find her soul, you can help her return to life." I nodded, dismounted, and came to the sedan, opened the curtain, and saw Miao Fengluan huddled in the corner of the sedan, shivering, as if she was afraid of something. When I saw this, I stretched out my hand and said, "I'm here, don't be afraid." Miao Fengluan raised his head, and the foolish look in his beautiful eyes subsided. She stretched out her slender hand to hold mine, and I pulled her to the front of the cave. Master Gui also quickly followed me. I glanced at him, and Master Gui glared at me and said nothing. I took the torch and walked into it with Miao Fengluan. The entrance to the cave is not big and can only be passed by one person, so Miao Fengluan and I could only enter the cave one after the other. And Mr. Ghost is following behind us. After walking dozens of steps, the scenery suddenly opened up, and a huge space came into view. The cave is full of dazzling gems, with stone milk pointing downwards and stalagmites about to soar into the sky. The magnificent scenery in front of me amazed me. Unexpectedly, there is a cave in the small cave. I looked at Miao Fengluan aside and asked, "Can you feel anything?" Miao Fengluan seemed very scared since she entered the cave. She held my hand tightly and refused to let go. But one thing was good. After entering the cave, her silly demeanor changed. She shook her head at me. At this moment, the torch suddenly went out and the surroundings fell into endless darkness. I quickly took out the lighter from my pocket and lit the torch again. The dim firelight instantly illuminated the entire cave, and the scene in front of me shocked me greatly. The originally empty cave turned out to have an ancient house. The ancient house is simple and vicissitudes of life, and it has a sense of age. Standing in front of the ancient house, you feel like you are in ancient times. I hesitated again and again, pulling Miao Fengluan into the ancient house, with Master Gui following closely behind. Entering the ancient house, a room flickered with faint light. I pulled Miao Fengluan closer to the lighted room. I came to the window and looked inside. I saw a beautiful figure sitting beside the bed. Taking a closer look, it was Miao Fengluan. This feeling is very strange, as if two identical people appear in front of you. Inside the room, Miao Fengluan was sitting in front of the window, her star-like eyes full of expectation, but deep in her eyes was full of embarrassment and uneasiness. After finding Miao Fengluan's lost souls, I no longer hesitated and pushed the door open directly. The sound of the door opening made Miao Fengluan inside the room so frightened that she stood up. When she saw it was me, there was unconcealable joy in her eyes. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 252. She ran towards me, looked at me excitedly, then opened her red lips slightly, not knowing what to say. It was at this time that Miao Fengluan, who was holding my hand, looked stagnant, and a few rays of light shot out from his body and merged into Miao Fengluan's soul. Seeing this scene, I knew that Miao Fengluan's 3 souls and 7 souls had returned to their places, and the next thing to do was to send her soul into the body. Just when I was about to activate the soul-stealing blood hand to send Miao Fengluan's soul into his body, Miao Fengluan's expression changed drastically, and she shouted anxiously to me, "He's back! He's back! You guys run! You don't need to think about who he is, he must be the cave god." I quickly activated the soul-stealing blood hand, and scarlet blood spread to my entire arm. "I will now send your soul into your body." With that said, I stretched out my hand to grab Miao Fengluan's arm. At this moment, the wooden door of the ancient house was pushed open by a distance. Suddenly, a strong wind blew out the candles on the table. Fortunately, the torch in his left hand could still retain some residual light. I looked back in the direction of the wooden door and saw a man standing there quietly in the darkness. The man's face is as clear-cut as a sculpture, and his angular face is extremely handsome. Under a pair of sword-shaped eyebrows is a pair of slender peach blossom eyes, which are full of amorous feelings and make people fall into it accidentally. If the ghost master is handsome, then the man is coquettish, the kind of existence that makes people fall into him at just one glance. No one knows what the cave god looks like. His appearance comes from the mind. Whatever you think he is, that is what he is. Some cave girls will be attracted by his beauty after seeing the cave god. The reason is because he is the most beautiful in the hearts of the cave girls. But some cave girls will not be attracted, like Miao Fengluan. It is possible that in her eyes, the cave god is a green-faced and fanged evil ghost. "Keep her here and I can let you go," the cave god said slowly. I took a deep breath and said to the cave god, "Dong god, she is just an ordinary woman. She is not worthy of you. I hope you can let me take her away." After hearing these words, the cave god narrowed his eyes and looked at me with interest. He raised an evil smile and said, "Ordinary people? If Hongluan Tiangzi is an ordinary person, then there are still other people in this world. Are there any ordinary women?" When I heard the words Hongluan Tiangzi, I was stunned for a moment. Before coming to Xiangzi, Su Tianqian told me that I would encounter other evil spirits. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be Hongluan Tiangzi. After hearing this, I protected Miao Fengluan behind me and said, "If this is the case, then I will take her away today." The murderous intent in Dongshen's eyes became more and more intense as he pressed towards me step by step. I had already prepared the Thunder Jew and planned to take action at any time. At this moment, Master Goi stood in front of me, looked at the cave god and said coldly, "I have to take her away today." There was a hint of joking in the eyes of the cave god, and he mocked unceremoniously, "If you Jingmen city god were still in charge of your Ji family, I would definitely be a little afraid of you, but now you think you are qualified to stand in front of me. Talk." Master Goi said with disdain, "I, Ji Tiansheng, never rely on the Jingmen city god to do anything." The cave god looked at Master Ghost with great interest and said, "In that case, let me see how powerful you are, Master Ji." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 253. Master Gui did not answer the cave god. Instead, he whispered to me, "Hurry up and let Fengluan's soul return to his body. I will hold him back." Seeing me frozen in place, Master Gui emphasized, "Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing it for you, but for Fengluan." After saying that, he kneaded the secret with both hands, and a black magic circle appeared out of thin air at the feet of the cave god. The next moment, the black light flourished, and countless black silk threads instantly tied the cave god's 5 flowers. Seeing this situation, I didn't dare to neglect. I used my soul-stealing blood hand to grab Miao Fengluan's arm and directly send his soul into his body. As her soul entered her body, Miao Fengluan slowly opened her eyes and struggled to stand up. I quickly asked, "How do you feel?" Miao Fengluan replied, "It's okay." Just when I was about to help Mr. Ghost deal with the cave god, suddenly a sharp stalactite penetrated the roof and poked straight at me. I knocked Miao Fengluan down directly, and the sharp stalactites directly penetrated a large hole in the ground. Immediately afterwards, countless stalactites fell from the roof like raindrops, and the sound of broken wood could not be heard. Seeing this scene, I looked shocked. Could it be that this cave god has the ability to control stone walls? I picked up the 9 layers Thunder Jew and hit the stalactite directly with one blow. The stalactites were not damaged, but more and more stalactites fell from the sky. I could only pull Miao Fengluan to dodge, and I was extremely embarrassed. Seeing this, Miao Fengluan quickly said to me, "These stalactites have given birth to stone spirits and are controlled by the cave god." I was slightly startled, since it has a soul, it would be easy to handle. I activated the soul-stealing blood hand and squeezed the 9-fold thunderbolt, and the blood instantly infected the thunderbolt. The bloody arc shot out from the palm of his right hand, penetrated the surface of the stalactite as soon as it touched it, and then retracted like an electric shock. I pinched the Thunder Jew in my hand and rushed towards these stalactites. Wherever the bloody arc struck, there were wailings. Soon, I neutralized the stalactite's attack. I looked at the battle between the Ghost Master and the cave god. The cave god is still trapped in the black magic circle and cannot break free. But I found that Master Gui's face was getting more and more ugly. It was obvious that he could no longer suppress the Dongshen. I took this opportunity and rushed towards the cave god while holding Lei Ju in my hand. Upon seeing this, the cave god raised a sneer on his lips, and the next moment, I felt something grabbing my ankle. The Thunder Jew in his hand stagnated in mid-air, and could no longer get any closer to the cave god. I took a closer look and saw that it was a thick vine. The next moment, countless vines came towards me. I was secretly shocked that this cave god could control everything in the cave. I turned around and used the bloody thunderbolt to cut off the vines. After breaking free, I stepped back continuously, keeping a certain distance from the cave god. It was at this time that the cave god also broke free from his restraints. He looked at me and Master Gui teasingly, as if he were looking at 2 ants. The cave god put his eyes on me and said, "Boy, your thunder technique just now is a bit interesting, but you can't defeat me with this alone." I didn't answer the cave god's words. Instead, I was thinking about countermeasures. Everything in this cave is likely to have derived spirits. And these spirits are controlled by the cave god. Fighting against the cave gods in a cave is undoubtedly courting death, and one must find a way to get rid of the spirits derived from these dead creatures. Thinking of this, I looked at the cave god and said, "I can't defeat you with this, but what about this?" I activated the power of the ghost seal and directly summoned the gate of the underworld. The appearance of the gate to the underworld surprised the cave god. I covered the gate of the underworld with my right hand, and the next moment, a huge suction force burst out from the gate of the underworld. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 254. As long as it is a soul, it can enter the gate of the underworld. But these stalactites and vines have carriers, and they refuse to come out, and the gate of the underworld cannot play its intended role. However, this doesn't bother me. I activated the soul-stealing blood hand, and scarlet blood surged up to the gate of the underworld like a tide. The blood brought by the soul-stealing bloody hand can be attached to anything. And the blood also has the effect of drawing away the soul. The gate to the underworld that was originally as dark as ink instantly turned blood red. The blood boiled, forming a huge blood-red vortex in the door, and the powerful suction swallowed everything. Stalactites and vines were all sucked in. In an instant, wailing sounds echoed throughout the cave. And this heart-rending wailing sound came from these dead creatures. Countless humanoid souls were all sucked out by the huge suction force of the bloody vortex. These souls swayed and struggled in the air, and were finally sucked into the gate of the underworld. When the cave god saw this scene, his expression turned a little ugly. When the last soul was sucked into the gate of the underworld, the gate closed with a bang and disappeared into the air. As the gate of the underworld disappeared, a feeling of dizziness came over me. I stood firm and pretended to be calm. Sure enough, activating the soul-stealing blood hand and the gate of the underworld at the same time consumes a huge amount of money on me. I exhaled a breath and looked at the cave god. The cave god's expression was extremely gloomy at this time, and he said to me word by word, "Boy, you have to pay for what you have done." The cave god's yin energy became strong, and his originally charming and handsome appearance began to change. His height is slowly growing, his face peels off, revealing the purple-black skin underneath, and his lips are split, revealing two slender and sharp fangs. The skin on the cave god's body began to crack, and his blood vessels gushed out. The thick blood vessels looked like long bloody snakes. After a moment, a tall monster with a green face and fangs appeared in my eyes. Is this the true form of the cave god? It's really scary. The cave god opened his bloody mouth and rushed toward me. The stench emanating from my mouth made me unable to open my eyes. I dodged to one side, but the strong wind brought by the cave god's huge body still made me stagger. Jingxiao asked me to put it in the Miao family ancestral hall. If Jingxiao had it in hand, he would definitely be able to cause harm to the guy in front of him. I yelled at Master Gui, "Take Feng Luan out quickly. Now there is no need for me to fight to the death with the Dongshen. I still want to save his life and protect Huaxiu from the thunder." Master Gui was stunned for a moment and then said to me, "You should take him out if you want. Do you really think that I have no way to deal with this guy?" The corner of my mouth twitched slightly. This ghost young master's character is too arrogant. At this time, you still have to fight with me. I pinched the bloody 9-layer thunder art in my hand, jumped up, and hit Dongshen directly on one arm. The bloody thunderbolt directly penetrated the Dongshen's arm. The next moment, the cave god let out a heart-rending roar. The bloody thunder art deals direct damage to the soul, and it works no matter how hard the body is. "Take Feng Luan out of here quickly." I yelled at Master Ghost again. Seeing how determined I was, Mr. Ghost took a step forward and pushed me directly towards the entrance of the cave. "I'll stop him. You and Feng Luan leave quickly." I was speechless for a moment. "You." The Ghost Master performed temple magic, and countless thin black threads spread out from his body. "Masters, don't be so nagging, just leave. I can escape unscathed. Things have already reached this point, and no matter how coy it is, there is no solution." I took Feng Luan's hand and ran towards the entrance of the cave. The cave god roared at the backs of the two of us, leaving, "None of you can escape." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 255. The strength of the cave god is beyond my imagination. Under the constraints of Master Ghost's temple skills, he was still able to attack me. The cave god is so powerful that he can break open the cave wall that was originally only for one person to travel. If this continues, I'm afraid we'll all have to stay here. I protected Miao Feng Luan behind me, then took a deep breath and focused all my attention on my right eye. A warm feeling came from me, and my right eye was turning black at a speed visible to the naked eye. Black barriers appeared out of thin air from all directions, and the next moment, the barriers gathered, tightly confining the cave god. The cave god was already angered by my success. He raised his fist as big as a sandbag and hit the barrier hard. But no matter how much he smashed it, he couldn't shake the black barrier at all. Master Gui looked at me in surprise when he saw this scene. I yelled at him, "Let's go." The most effective way to prevent evil spirits from coming back is to accumulate merit. and it just so happened that Master Ghost had already sent all his ghost servants into the gate of the underworld before. Coupled with the souls who had just entered the gate of the underworld, they should have a lot of merit. So this is the best time to use your right eye. The Ghost Master no longer hesitated and floated towards me. I stared at the cave god closely, and then stepped back step by step. When I took a dozen steps back, a chill instantly spread throughout my body, followed by endless pain. The ability of the right eye is disabled the moment the evil spirit enters the body. I was shaking like chaff, my legs went weak, and I fell towards the ground. Miao Fengluan, with quick eyes and quick hands, quickly supported me and asked with concern, "What's wrong with you?" I shook my head at her and said, "Let's get out of here quickly. The cave god lost the restraints of the black barrier and is now attacking us again." Miao Fengluan nodded fiercely, supported me and ran towards the outside of the cave. Seeing this scene, Mr. Ghost directly carried me behind his back, accelerated his speed, and escaped from the cave. At this moment, my consciousness began to blur. Every time I used my right eye, evil energy entered my body. I really didn't know how long I could hold on. The beast-like roar of the cave god came from the cave. I struggled to open my eyes, searching for Lin Duyan. Sure enough, just as I thought, Lin Duyan ran away. The journey was bumpy, and the roaring behind him gradually weakened. The Beelzebub evil also played its role at this moment, and a warm current spread throughout my body. Su Tianxian once again activated the 8-character blood evil. Every time she activates the blood evil, it means that she shares some pain for me. After a while, I felt that I was almost recovered, so I said to Mr. Ghost, "Put me down." Master Gui put me down. I looked around and asked, "Where are we?" Miao Fengluan's soul returned to her body. The stupidity she had before no longer existed, but the innocence between her brows remained intact. "We are at the west end of the village. We can return to the village after walking a little further." I nodded. Now I want to return to the Miao family ancestral hall as soon as possible, and then find Huashiu. I believe that the cave god will definitely come to your door. I had to arrange the magic circle in advance to trap him in it, so that he could resist the thunder for Huashiu. Thinking of this, I didn't hesitate at all and said to Miao Fengluan and Master Gui, "Let's go back to the village first." Just when we were about to take steps, there was a burst of neat footsteps not far away. I looked calm and stopped. Tap tap tap. The footsteps were very neat, as if they were walking in goose. At this time, figures appeared one after another at the corner of the path. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 256. Before I could clearly see the situation in front of me, there was a sound of bells shaking in my ears. The ringtone was clear and loud, spreading far and wide in the silent night. I suddenly discovered that every time the bell shook, the sound of footsteps sounded. I looked at the corner at the end of the path and saw figures jumping out slowly one after another. That's right, it's about jumping out, not walking out. The long path was shrouded in moonlight, and the sides of the path and the corner at the end were pitch black. Tap tap tap. A figure jumped out first. When I saw the full figure of the figure, I was stunned for a moment. The man was dressed in the official uniform of the Qing dynasty and wore a black gauze hat. He had a green face and fangs, and was ferocious and terrifying. His skin was pale. He placed his hands in front of him at the same level as his chest. His nails were black and sharp, just like a black sharp blade. He used both hands to the legs kept jumping and moving forward. Zombies. I instantly became alert. After one zombie caught my eye, there was a second one, and then a third one. They are dressed the same, both in Qing dynasty official uniforms, but they look different, and their ages are at different stages. These zombies have stiff bodies and it is difficult to move other parts except their heads and limbs. Jingle bell. The crisp bell rang again, and the zombies lined up in a row and moved forward neatly. It was obvious that someone was using brass bells to manipulate them. And the only ones who can do this are the corpse chasers. I made a rough estimate, there are about a dozen of these zombies. At this time, the sound of the bells became more urgent, and these zombies were like oiled gears, moving quickly. I picked up the 9 layers thunder art, but this time I didn't use the power of my bloody hand. After all, ghosts like zombies, which are transformed from yin energy and resentment, can only be dealt with using righteous and yang energy. The pure 9 layers thunder Jew is the best choice. In the blink of an eye, these zombies surrounded us. Miao Fengluan hid behind me, while Master Gui used temple magic. His temple technique is very strange, it produces black lines directly from the body. This black line has a very powerful attack power. Is this one of the inheritances of City God? I didn't have time to think, and struck the zombie closest to me with a thunderbolt. Thunder and lightning exploded, directly charring the zombie to black, and then fell to the ground motionless. I was slightly startled, are these zombies so weak? Other zombies swarmed up, and the Ghost Master and I eliminated them in 3 strikes, 5, and 2. Master Gui said on the side, the level of these zombies is not high, they should just be Zizhan who have just turned into zombies. As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura emerged from the darkness. My expression instantly became extremely vigilant. Sure enough, this matter is not that simple. Under the moonlight, 2 black shadows suddenly shot out, so fast that no one could catch them. In an instant, the 2 figures came to me. I took a closer look and saw 2 more zombies. However, these 2 zombies are very different from the previous ones. The bodies of the 2 zombies are green. Not only that, the corpse aura they exude is also green. Light green hair actually grew on the skin of the 2 zombies. Green-haired stiffness. No, they should be at the critical point between green stiffness and hairy stiffness, because the hair on their bodies is not that thick yet. 2 green zombies jumped very fast. One of them opened his mouth and bit my neck. I quickly turned sideways to dodge, and while dodging, I raised the thunderbolt in my hand and blasted it towards green zombie. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanba. Chapter 257. The thunder and lightning exploded, directly knocking the green zombie away. The green zombie fell to the ground, then stood up and attacked me again. The green zombie in front of me is many times more powerful than the previous zombies. It is also more difficult to deal with. If I have a yellow talisman in my hand now, I can draw a talisman to suppress it. But now I can only choose to fight to the end. I took a deep breath and picked up the 9 layers of Thunder Jew again. Blue arcs of electricity flashed in my palm, and the second level of the 9-level Thunder Jew could no longer cause damage to it. I can only try to superimpose the power of Thunder Jew to the 3rd level. Just when I was doing the thunder technique, green zombie came to me with a very fast jumping speed. Looking at the pale and lifeless face so close to me, I was shocked. The lei Jew held in the hand cannot be scattered. If it is scattered, it will not be so easy to add 3 more Thunder Jew. The green zombie showed its sharp fangs and bit me. At this critical moment, countless black thin lines came through the air, trapping the green zombie firmly. What's surprising is that this thin black thread can actually hurt the skin of green zombie. Seeing this, I also directly dispersed the 9-level thunder art, then grabbed the black silk thread and activated the soul-stealing blood hand. Scarlet blood infected all the black threads along my right arm, looking like a big bloody net. The thin black threads blessed by my blood became extremely sharp, like a bloody blade, directly cutting the green zombie's body into countless small pieces. Seeing this scene, I breathed a long sigh of relief. My current strength is only at the 2nd level. If I had tried to hit the third level of Thunder Art just now, I would have faced life-threatening danger. Looking at the pieces of meat on the ground, I said to Miao Fengluan and Master Gui, let's go. I quickened my pace, having a bad feeling in my heart. I always felt like something was going to happen. After taking a few steps, another figure appeared in front of him. The outline of the figure looked familiar. The other party seemed to have seen me, and he quickened his pace and ran towards me. When the man walked out of the moonlight, I was stunned for a moment, and it turned out to be Zhang Xiai. Zhang Xiai's face was pale, with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was holding his chest, looking very painful. He came to me and said anxiously, Lu Su, something happened. I quickly asked, are you okay? Zhang Xiai grabbed my hand and ran forward, it's okay, I can't die. After you and I separated, I have been paying attention to the movements of that cripple Li just after your wedding team left. This cripple Li actually entered the Miao family ancestral hall. When Zhang Xiai said this, his expression was very serious, and his feet were moving faster and faster. Li Zizi and Lin Duyan are in the same group. As for what they say about marrying you to the Luohua cave girl, they are all lies. Their ultimate goal is to get your sister. Get a flower break? All zombie hunters have the ultimate dream, which is to get a 1,000-year-old zombie. Zhang Shishi said to me, I told Huaxiu about this and wanted to leave with Huaxiu to meet you, but Huaxiu refused to leave. She asked me to come to you and take you out of here. Just when he was trying to persuade Huaxiu to leave, Li Leize broke in and got into a fight with Huaxiu. When Zhang Xiai said this, his expression became a little lonely. I knew that he was blaming himself for not taking Huaxiu away. I asked, did she say something? Zhang Xiai shook his head and said, no, but I always feel that she has her own plan. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 258. Huaxiu's character is not reckless. There must be a reason why she asked Zhang Xiai to come here to find me. But how could I leave Huaxiu here? Thinking of this, I glanced at Zhang Xiai. He said to me, this matter is my negligence, I will find a way to make up for it. I know that he and I have the same idea, this matter is not your fault. Whether Huaxiu can survive the thunder, the method must be found in this village. We quickened our pace and soon arrived at Beiki village. The village is so quiet that it makes people feel nervous. Soon, we arrived at the Miao family ancestral hall. The door of the ancestral hall is closed, the red silk and satin hanging on the door frame is particularly conspicuous, and the two red lanterns emit a warm red light. I looked at Zhang Xiai, who nodded to me. I pushed open the door of the Miao family ancestral hall, and what I saw was a mess. The trees in the yard tilted and collapsed, green leaves were scattered on the ground, and the wooden doors and windows were also severely damaged. Zhang Xiai took a step forward and said to me, after you left here, Li Leize secretly manipulated the zombies to start a war with Huaxiu. Although Huaxiu experienced a thunderstorm and her strength was greatly reduced, I believe she can still deal with these zombies with ease. But Zhang Xiai told me that the reason for Huaxiu's defeat was a special zombie. Special zombies? I asked. Zhang 11 nodded and replied, yes, a zombie with black skin and soft armor. The strangest thing is that the soft armor seems to grow out of his flesh. Zhang Xiai thought for a while, pointed to a fallen tree not far away and said, have you seen that tree? I looked in the direction pointed by Zhang Xiai. It was a big and sturdy tree. Different from other trees in the yard, the trunk of this tree was dead and rotten, and the green leaves were wilted, as if some kind of poison had been planted. That tree was destroyed by that strange zombie. Zhang Xiai pondered for a moment and said, I suspect that the zombie's body contains poison, and it is a poisonous corpse. After hearing these words, my expression became more solemn. After hearing this, Master Gui said to one side, if I guess correctly, The zombie you are talking about is named 5 Poison Corpses, and the soft armor on his body is black gold soft armor. The tone of the Ghost Master was very serious, and it seemed that he was also very afraid of this zombie. I asked, 5 Poison Corpses? What is that? Is it more powerful than Mao Zhang? Master Gui glanced at me indifferently and replied, here in western Hunan, there is not only corpse extermination, but also voodoo. The 5 Poison Corpses are a combination of corpse exorcism and poisonous poison. It will take several generations of effort for the corpse exorcists to refine a 5 Poison Corpse. If you want to refine a 5 Poison Corpse, the first thing you need to do is to find the corpse of an evil person from 3 generations, and then place it in the 5 Poison Heavenly Ache appointment for 7749 days. I know something about the 5 Poison Heavenly Points. This kind of Feng Shui treasure cave is extremely rare and can only be encountered but not sought. If a person is buried in the 5 Poison Caves, they will be harmed by the 5 poisons. The deceased will not be reincarnated and will suffer all kinds of torture. The Ghost Master continued, bury the corpses of evil people from 3 generations into it, and the 5 poisons will get into the coffin and eat the corpse day and night. And this corpse has also been specially treated by the corpse exterminators. It can be recovered no matter how much it is chewed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 259. The 5 Poison Corpses will be dug out after staying in the 5 Poison Heavenly Cave for 7 or 49 times. Then the corpse exorcists will find the Gu Master and ask for hundreds or even thousands of 5 poisons to continue to eat the corpse. I know that the 5 poisons are centipedes, poisonous snakes, scorpions, geckos, and toads. Listening to what he said, since it was the 5 poisons in the hands of the Gu Master, the poison must be very strong. Master Ghost continued, if you want to keep these 5 poisons alive, you must sacrifice people. As a result, some corpse exorcists even sacrifice themselves in order to refine a 5 poison corpse. I broke out in a cold sweat after hearing this. This must be so heartbreaking. The 5 poison corpses are highly poisonous, and their only weakness is that their bodies are not strong enough. Therefore, the corpse exorcists will refine the black gold soft armor and wear it on them, so that they can be indestructible. Hearing this, I couldn't help but start to worry about Huaxiu's safety. At this moment, a familiar alarm clock suddenly rang in a room. It's my cell phone. I quickly ran towards the direction where the ringing sound came from. I pushed open the house I lived in before and found my phone under the bed. I turned on my phone, and there was an alarm clock interface. When I turned off the alarm, the memo interface came into view. It reads: I didn't have much time. After Zhang Xi told me the truth, I knew the purpose of these corpse chasers. They want to take my 1,000-year-old zombie as their own, so I plan to use their trick and go deep into the wolf's den. The thunder is coming, and it is impossible for these corpse chasers to watch me lose my soul, so they will definitely find a way to help me survive this thunder. I have lived in the tomb for 1,000 years. 1,000 years is simply too long. It is also these 1,000 years that have made me think about many things. Although I have some resentment towards you, you are still the royal brother who cares for me and loves me. Huaxiu wants to stay with the emperor, because the things that the emperor will face in the future are too heavy, and Huaxiu wants to bear them with him. If Huaxiu fails to overcome the tribulation, then wait until the next life to meet again. No matter how many times he is reincarnated, Huaxiu always wants to stay with his royal brother. Brother Huang, take it very seriously and don't think about it. Seeing this, I couldn't suppress the sadness in my heart. For my safety, Huaxiu chose to bear all the dangers and hardships on his own. But, how much can she resist? I put away my phone, looked at Zhang Xiai, and asked, "Do you know where Li Lazy is hiding?" Zhang Xiai shook his head and replied, "I don't know." He paused for a moment, then thought for a moment and then said, "But I can find it." I nodded and said to Zhang Xiai, "I'm sorry to trouble you. I can't let Huaxiu face this by herself. I want to find her and help her survive the catastrophe." Zhang Xiai nodded heavily and said nothing more. I looked at Miao Fengluan again, hesitated, and said, You and him should leave here and go live in a new place." Miao Fengluan looked at me quietly with her star-like eyes. I couldn't bear to look into her eyes. Because I got married to her entirely because of Huaxiu, but now that things have turned into this, I can't face her. Miao Fengluan looked at me for a while, shook her head gently, and said softly, "I won't leave. The place where you are is the place I want to go." I opened my mouth, wanting to say something, but the words just couldn't come out. Master Gui sneered on the side, "Fengluan, you see what I said is right, he married you just to take advantage of you." Miao Fengluan turned around and looked at Master Gui, showing a sweet smile. She stretched out her hand, gently took Master Gui's hand, and said, "Brother Tiansheng, thank you. I have made up my mind, so don't try to persuade me." Master Gui let out a long sigh and said, "I was being hunted and you saved me. From the moment you saved me, I, Ji Tiansheng, swore to protect you for the rest of my life." Master Gui gave me a vicious look and continued, "In order to prevent this kid from bullying you, I decided to stay with you." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 260. Miao Fengluan opened her arms and fell into Master Gui's arms, saying thank you all the time. At this moment, a strong corpse smell suddenly came from the yard. A few of us looked at each other and walked out of the door warily. There was a figure standing in the yard. When I saw the person clearly, a look of surprise came to my eyebrows. Huaxiu. Huaxiu stood quietly in the yard and didn't respond to my call. I was keenly aware of her abnormality. When my eyes touched her beautiful eyes, I was stunned for a moment. Huaxiu's eyes always have a hint of agility, a touch of tenderness, and a bit of playfulness deep in his eyes. But now, there was only indifference in her eyes. Ha ha ha. An arrogant laughter suddenly came from outside the ancestral hall, and then a man limped in. The person who came was none other than Li Lazy. He was no longer dressed as a driver or master that day. Instead, he was wearing a black Taoist robe, holding a corpse whip in his right hand and a soul-catching bell in his left hand, with an extremely arrogant expression on his face. Seeing this person, an unknown karmic fire arose in my heart. Li Zizi glanced at me, his eyes full of teasing. "Boy, I never thought that when we first met, you would give me such a great gift. A 1,000-year-old zombie. It's something you can only meet but cannot ask for." I didn't say anything, just stared at Li Lazy. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded from the darkness. "Junior brother, don't worry, just kill him." Lin Duyan walked out of the darkness. His scar-filled right face looked particularly eerie against the surrounding environment. Li Lazy smiled at Lin Duyan and said, "Senior brother, don't be anxious. This kid can't run away now even if he wants to. It's a pity to kill him so easily." Lin Duyan's expression was cold, completely lacking the kindness and enthusiasm he had when they first met. "This kid is very difficult to deal with. It's better to kill him as soon as possible." Li Lazy shrugged his shoulders disapprovingly and said, "Senior brother, I know you resent Lu Linlong in your heart, but don't forget that in addition to your eye being crippled by Lu Linlong, my leg is the same." After listening to the conversation between the two people, I was horrified. Unexpectedly, there is such a story between Grandpa and these two corpse chasers. I had long noticed Lin Duyan's abnormality, but at that time he was still needed to help Huaxiu, so I could only deal with it cautiously. But he never expected to fall into the trap of two people. Lin Duyan snorted coldly and replied, "This kid has unlimited potential. If we don't kill him today, he will definitely threaten you and me in the future." Li Zizi didn't want to delve further into this topic. He looked at me with a cruel look in his eyes. "Lu Linlong's grandson? I want to see what you are capable of." After that, he shook the soul-catching bell in his hand. Hua Xiu's delicate body trembled, and she disappeared in a flash. I only felt the strong wind whistling in my ears, and Hua Xiu's extremely sharp claws were already in front of me. I hurriedly stretched out my right arm to fight, but I was still beaten and kept retreating. The pain in my right arm made me take a breath. I shouted to Hua Xiu, "Hua Xiu! Wake up! I am Lu Su, your brother." As soon as these words came out, Li Leiza laughed arrogantly. "Ha ha ha! Don't waste your efforts, kid. Her consciousness has been completely suppressed by us. Want to wake her up? Don't even think about it." I looked at Li Leiza fiercely. Li Zizi shook the soul-catching bell in his hand again, and Hua Xiu rushed toward me.